So, hello and good morning, Glen, my man. Welcome to your first check-in, right? So, thank you very much for all the information that you provided. Seems like as if you've done it before. No, thank you very much. It was very, very insightful and helpful in regards to the things that you've talked about. So, yeah, this is something that we can then move forward with. And let's delve straight into things. Let's talk about the nutrition first, because the body weight has come down, right, from the initial 252.8 down to something like 250.8.6, right, and seems like now it's slowly tapering off and slowly coming to a realistic rate of weight loss, right? So it was still 0.62% of body weight loss per week, yielding a 2-pound decrease for you. So in that regard, when it comes to the rate of weight loss, what we're always aiming for is something like between 0.5 up to 1% of body weight loss per week. Sometimes I would even say for someone like you, with your size, we could even push it a little bit harder. This has something to do with the fat deposits that we have, that you are not diet fatigued as well, and we could possibly get away with doing things a little bit more drastically. Let me just adjust things just real quickly here. So in regards to the calories, total amount of calories, let's aim for 2,300 to 2,400 next week. This in conjunction with what you've been eating this week, where you've averaged out at around 2,500, so the high end of the caloric range, you're going now into 23 to 2,400. This should yield a more rapid rate of weight loss. What I also adjusted is the amount of fat. Because you said that you're struggling with the amount of fat and not exceeding those, I think it's easier for you to get into the range of 75 to 85. This is still an acceptable range for me, while carbohydrates are somewhat relatively high. Also here for you, probably a lower intake of carbohydrates is still acceptable as of yet, right? Things can change in the future though. This is what we're going with for now. Probably also next week, and then we could make some adjustments if necessary. I can see that you're very active, which is very cool to see. Also, because of that, I don't think that there's the necessity of actually adding some cardio at the moment, except for the times when you want to go out for, I don't know, a mountain biking tour or something like that. If you want to do that, go ahead and do that. I'm totally fine with this. This will just benefit our rate of weight loss. Being active outside the gym as well is probably overall a healthy thing to do up to a certain extent, right? So also you brought up the IF, so intermittent fasting. I think it's totally all right. I think it's probably not the best thing in my assumption for something like a gaining phase, but for something like a cutting phase, probably just a total all right thing to do. If that allows you to sustain that diet, to adhere to the diet, is probably better than on paper the perfect diet, right? And if that allows you to stay on track, totally fine. Also with that means that you're only eating like 2 big protein meals. Sure, the from the scientific literature, it shows that being in the range of 3 to 6 protein feedings spread across the day is probably the better way to go. Thing is though that there isn't any kind of limit to how much protein we can absorb. This is an old myth that has been debunked. Thing is, the body is very good of making use of every substrate that we are taking in, right? Especially protein, because it's such an essential thing for the body. And in that case, what happens is when we're consuming more protein and along with that other substrates such as fat and carbohydrate, our digestion slows down and we have a protein distribution for a longer time window instead of a shorter time window, right? So you will probably still be in a net protein balance for a long period of time. Is it the most optimal of having only 2 bigger protein feedings instead of 3? Very hard to tell, and I don't even know whether research could give us a clear answer on that. Sure, if you want to be on the safe side of things, maybe have a protein shake in between, right? And then you have like 3 feedings. But I think you are probably very good, especially because your body fat levels are a little bit higher. The body fat sparing effect of your body is highly increased. right? Because right now you're not in a deprived state and you're not in a starvation mode or anything like this, and the body makes use of those extra calories coming from the fat storages. So I think that you should be fine with that approach at the moment. Could very well be that we are trying different things in the future. So also on protein, when it comes to whey protein, some people, I don't know if you are lactose intolerant, but some people can't really drink normal whey protein because it just upsets their stomach. Have you ever tried isolate? Because it seems like for those people who are experiencing digestive issues with whey protein, whey isolate does help them massively with that one. So give it a try, or at least it's worth a try, right? I would of course recommend first getting a sample instead of an entire pack of protein, just to be on the safe side and test it out, right? So that being said, when it then comes to supplements, because I've made a note down here, because what I've seen from your application sheet or the second sign-up form, that you are taking actually quite a lot of supplements, right? So if you could give me a little bit of an overview of why that is the case, so the rationale behind that, right? I can see that you're taking milk thistle, krill oil, lysine, carnosine, probiotics, for example, L-glutamine, then collagen, MCT oil, stuff like that. If you can elaborate on that, because a lot of these things the scientific literature doesn't really support at the moment, and if there's a good rationale for that, hey, who am I to say that you shouldn't take that, right? But if you could save even some money for that, right, and maybe, I don't know, bring down the cost for all the supplements that you're taking in, because it doesn't really aid that much benefits to that. There's the net benefit isn't really there. That would be beautiful, wouldn't it, right? So yeah, if you could give me a good rationale for that, let's discuss things, right? I'm not here to tell you, okay, throw all these supplements away, but I'm just here to tell you that maybe just from a suggestion perspective, not taking most of these supplements will be the road to go. So yeah. That being said, when it comes to more data, sure, is always a good thing. Thing is that right now we don't need things such as the Aura, so the actual data of the Aura ring, for example, stuff like that. It's a good thing to have on the back burner. So when we desperately need it, because things aren't really lining up or so, then we can still use that data, right? But right now it doesn't really give me the data I need to actually have a good idea. When things, for example, when things aren't heading into the right direction when it comes to the nutrition, and also the weight loss isn't really happening, and you are reporting that the accuracy is at a 5, but it still doesn't align with the expected rate of weight loss, then sure, I would look into something like what you're eating on a day-to-day basis to detect whether we are truly at a 5 accuracy or not. Things like these, right? But it's more like an alternative in the background that, yes, it is appreciated that you are tracking that, but if it's right now, it's not necessary for me to look over these things. So last but not least, when it comes to training, first week in the books, taking it more conservatively, and this is the way to go. I don't want you to go all balls to the wall at the beginning, right? Especially when it comes to the shoulder. If there's anything in regards to the shoulder that you can't do, and you are experiencing discomfort or so, let me know immediately, right? If these exercises that we have prescribed doesn't work out or don't work out for your shoulder, let me know as well, right? There's always a way. Yeah, that being said, that's about... Oh, sorry for that. So that being said, that's about it for this week. Glenn, thank you very much for your first check-in, and I think I'll speak to you next week. Cheers, buddy.